So welcome everyone. Today is class 2 or second class of our business analyst training. Okay. So far we have gone through 3-day demo series, and then the first class where we talked about what are the different types of IT companies that are there, product based, service based. And then we looked at some of the pre-project activities like request for information or RFI, request for proposal or RFP, and request for quotation or RFQ, which will at the end will lead to SOW or statement of work. Okay. Now, before we jump on to our today's topic of commonly used terms in IT, yeah, I just want to check with you guys if you have any questions so far with respect to whatever we covered yesterday. Okay, I'll take the silence as no questions. So today we will be talking about commonly used terms in IT. Okay. Now there are certain things that we must understand or establish definition of before we move forward with our classes. Now one such thing is, what are some of the commonly used terms within the IT? So first one is statement of work, or which is also abbreviated as SOW. Okay, yesterday we looked about it. SOW or statement of work is an agreement between the customer who is paying the money and the organization who is supposed to work as per customers' expectations. Okay, so it's an agreement between customer and organization that describes what type of work should be performed. Along with work, it will also necessarily describe what will be the agreement level with respect to access, data access, what work to be performed, and necessarily describing the data access. Okay. Other than that, any points related to termination of contract, what should happen, what's the notice for terminating the contract. Okay. Any legal consequences for not delivering the work. Okay. So basically it will cover anything and everything related to the work agreement. Okay, so that there are no disputes later, even if there is dispute, because everything is documented here in the form of SOW. Everything is documented, so we can decide the next course of action. That's your SOW. And next thing that you will often hear about is scope. Okay, scope is basically defining boundaries for my work. Okay, what work am I supposed to complete at any given point in time versus what is I'm not supposed to complete. Okay, so SOW talks about at the higher project level, the entire project. Scope depends upon the current work I am taking. Suppose I have to build an e-commerce application. Okay, so statement of work will be applicable for building the entire e-commerce application. Suppose within e-commerce application I start with uh, user accounts now. Okay, creating user accounts. So scope will talk specifically about user accounts. Then suppose I move from user accounts to cart management. Okay. User accounts. Say from user accounts I move to cart management. Like cart management is what? Basically adding items to cart, removing items from cart, okay? Increasing quantity of items in the cart. Okay? So cart management. So scope will be applicable for every individual piece of work that I undertake. Okay. Scope will help me define what should I be doing versus what I don't have to worry about. Okay? So for example, when it is about user accounts, I have to worry about onboarding or registering users, allowing users to log in, okay, manage user data. What I don't have to worry about is payments. Okay, payment or cart management will not be part of user accounts. So if you all look at any sports, okay, all the sports, they have a defined boundary. Okay, so all the players will be playing sport within that boundary. Okay, outside of the boundary will be the audience. Okay, if anything happens, or if by luck or by any chance, if the game goes outside of the boundary, then it is not considered at all. Same thing should happen within the IT sector as well. Okay? When we are building a software, when we are building a product, okay, we must define the boundaries for that product. Otherwise, what will happen? You will be in an endless loop. The product will never finish. Okay, customers will always have endless expectations. If you don't define boundaries, if you don't define scope, okay, then customer will always ask for new features. Okay? So whenever we pick on any work, before we deep dive into the work, we define the scope for the work, that what is it we have to do and what is it we don't have to do. Okay, whatever we have to do, we will try to remain ourselves restricted within that. The next term is CR, or change request or change in requirement. Okay? So basically, it talks about changes in requirement during development stage. Okay. Now, generally, whenever a customer wants a change in their existing project, in their existing software, okay? So customer wants a change in existing product. Okay? So they will, what they will do is they will raise a change request. Okay, so customer will create a change request. Okay, that's the way of communication between customer and the IT company, or the client and the IT company. Okay, so the client will create a change request. The change request will highlight what all changes they want in their product or the software, and that will be the starting point for the IT company to begin. Okay, that is the first interaction. So IT company will receive a request. Once they receive a request, and that request could be through emails, through some softwares, okay, anything could be used over there. Now once you have started a project, once you have started working on it, chances are it's not that the client will only want changes at the beginning. Okay, even when you are working on something, at that point in time also client can come and ask for changes. Okay, say client said, build a payment gateway for me. Okay, build a payment gateway with the option of credit card only. Okay, you started collecting requirements, you defined scope, you started collecting requirements. Okay, everything has started to work. While you are working on it, client can come and say, you know what, credit card is not good, I don't find much value in credit card, can we change credit card to, can we change credit card to internet banking. Okay, generally this is termed as change requirement. Okay, though change requirement or change request, though change requirement or change request can be used interchangeably, but there's very small difference between the two. Okay, the first time client raises a request for any change, that is called change request. Once that change request is in progress, we are working on it, and if client wants more changes, generally that is termed as change requirement. Okay, but irrespective of that, okay, what is more important is that client is looking for some type of change in their product. That is your CR or change request. Next is elicitation. Okay. So elicitation talks about extracting information, extracting knowledge, or extracting opinion of the other person or from the other person. Suppose suppose I am talking to Sharath, for example. Okay. Now Sharath has good idea about how to process payments. Okay, and I am working on writing requirements for processing payments. Okay, so I'll talk to Sharath, identify multiple informations that he might be having within his mind. Okay, and find out ways to extract information from his mind, and then I can make a note of it. Okay, what are the different points I have to consider while setting up payment gateway? Okay, what are the compliance that are applicable on me? How to store data? Okay, I can extract all the information or knowledge that Sharath has and write it down on a piece of paper or make digital notes. Okay, this process is called elicitation. Okay, elicitation basically refers to methods or techniques that can be used to extract information from other people, and that's what business analysts will do. How will I create requirement document? Okay, I don't have the idea inside my head. The idea is inside someone else's head. Okay, so what I'll do is I have a bunch of elicitation techniques. Depending on the scenario in which I am, I will pick up the best suitable elicitation technique, talk to the stakeholder, talk to the other person who has the idea, and then extract information from that person. Once I have extracted the information, I can use that information to create my requirement document. Okay, that's how requirement documents are created. Okay, so that will be your elicitation. The next one is business rules. What is business rules? Business rules basically refer to any policies, procedures, or guidelines which will decide how a task or a business operation should be performed. Okay. For example, if you all would have seen any login page, okay, for any website that you take, that says login using mobile number. Okay, now this is one just simple example of how can you log in. So you can log in using your mobile number. Now suppose mobile number, we all know mobile number will always be numerical data. Okay, it will be 1 2 3 4 5 6. It will not be a b c d e f g. Okay, it will not be alphabets, it will only be numerical data. Suppose if someone tries to enter alphabets in mobile number field, my system will identify and throw error, because I have told my system or my software that in the mobile number field you should only accept numerical data. Okay, one, numerical data. Second, even though it is people may be entering 1 2 3 4 5 6, but mobile number should be of 10 digits. Okay, if anyone enters data less than 10 digit, more than 10 digit, again that is wrong. Okay, so it has to be numbers, plus it has to be exactly 10 digits. Okay, anything less than 10 digits, more than 10 digits, again an issue. Okay. So what we just did, by describing the aspects of mobile number, like it will be numerical in nature, it has to be exactly 10 digits. What we just did, we defined business rules. Okay, so what we created, you can call as procedures or guidelines, which will decide or govern how the mobile number needs to be entered. Okay, so when you talk about your software, okay, business rules play a critical part. Whenever you gather requirements, okay, All the requirements should be accompanied with business rules at every time. Okay, business rules will determine what kind of validations, what kind of checks must be performed on those requirements. Okay, business rules will help us eliminate bad data from our system. Suppose someone is entering abcd in mobile number, okay, and then they request for otp. We know that it's not a valid mobile number. abcd is not a valid mobile number. So does it make sense sending otp to such number? otp will never be delivered. Okay? So we want our systems to be little bit more smart. Okay, and how do we do that? How do we bring in smartness into our software or product or system? By applying these business rules. Okay, I'll take a pause here. Do you guys have any questions with respect to statement of work, scope, change request, elicitation, or business rules? Okay, let me check the chat as well if any question has been posted there. Okay, I'll take the silence as no questions. We'll continue to move forward. The next thing is environments or regions. Okay. So, in order to facilitate uh, parallel work plus minimum disruption, okay, the concept of environment is to facilitate parallel working plus minimum disruption. So we all use WhatsApp nowadays. Okay, so if you take a note at the WhatsApp, it will keep launching some or the other features in every, maybe in few days, in few weeks, or sometimes even in months also. Okay, so for example, if you look at WhatsApp, earlier it was purely text messaging. Okay, then they introduced the concept of audio calls, then they introduced the concept of video calls, then they increased the number of participants in the video call. Earlier it was just one-on-one call, then they said that you can add up to 4 people, then 8 people. Okay, so all these things, they keep changing. Okay, they keep adding new features to the existing software or the product. Okay, now what happens is, whenever we are making the changes, we have to ensure that the end users or customers are not impacted. Okay, suppose if I'm making any change to my software, and that change will impact my customer, then what will happen? Customer may uninstall the application. Okay, customer may get frustrated. So what happened is, IT companies, they created multiple environments or organ or regions. Okay, so one of the important region is production region. Okay, or you can say production region, production environment, or production server is the server where we are using WhatsApp. Okay, one copy of WhatsApp will be on the development server, where the WhatsApp IT team will be making changes to the software. Okay, then similarly there will be one copy of WhatsApp on QA server as well. So whenever development team is done making the code changes, they will move it to QA server, updated copy to QA server, where the testing will take place. Okay, once the testing is over, then the team will move updated copy of WhatsApp code to UAT server. Okay, where the business stakeholders will do the testing. From there, if everything looks good, no issues, no problems, coding successful, testing successful, stakeholders have seen the changes, they are also happy with it, then what we do? Then we move the updated copy from UAT to production. Okay. So once you move it to production, the customers will start using the new feature. So that's where, if you see, whenever you go to Play Store or App Store on your phone, every now and then you will see an update on WhatsApp. What does that mean? That means that the WhatsApp IT team first did the coding or development, then testing, then UAT, and then they moved it to Play Store, that an updated copy is available. And what we do is we then go and update WhatsApp on our phone. Okay, so that is nothing but production server. So by using this technique or using this method, what happened? Organizations have ensured that there is minimum disruption. Suppose if everything is happening only in one environment, so suppose everything happens only in one environment, then what will happen? I will have lot of issues. Suppose the developer is writing some code. At the same time, I am also using the same WhatsApp. Developer is also changing the same code. So we both will face issues. I will raise lot of complaints. Okay. So in order to facilitate parallel working and minimum disruption to the customers, there's concept of environment or regions. Okay. These are nothing but servers. Okay. So there will be a development server where developers will do the coding. Once their coding is complete, then they will move the code from development server to QA server. Once the testing is complete, no issues found, then it will be moved from QA server to UAT server, then from UAT to production server. Okay. So when you join IT, you may hear lot many times that currently the development, we are on the development region or the development environment, or development is in progress, or the data is not present in development environment. Okay. Next is estimations. Okay. Estimation, as the name suggests, we want to measure the work. Okay. How do we measure the work? Usually, the measurement is done in terms of hours. Okay. So, estimation is basically trying to identify how many hours it will take to finish up a work. Okay. So, estimation basically is referring to techniques that are trying to build a consensus to measure the work. How are we going to measure the work? The general unit for measurement of work is hours. Moving on, the next one is change management. Okay, change management is more to do with project managers, okay, and not with BA, actually business analyst. Actually, what they have to do is, whenever whenever we are working on a project, suppose we have gathered requirements from a customer. So now, right from the time the requirement gathering starts till the time we deploy something into production environment. Okay, so right from the time of gathering requirement all the way to deploying something in production environment or production region. Okay, there are different processes involved in between. Okay, how will you gather requirement, what documents will you be creating, then what happens after requirement is complete, how the coding will begin, what will be the different steps in coding, then after coding what will happen, all the way till production deployment. Okay, so all these steps need to be managed by someone. So project managers are usually responsible for managing all the steps. These steps together are called as change management. Okay, so what is change management? Simply speaking, it talks about different steps or activities that must be managed while working on a change. Okay, why are we doing all this? Why do we need to manage? What's the point of managing, or what's the benefit of managing? So that we can keep our project on track. Okay, that's the whole purpose of managing, that we can keep project on track. If we don't manage, project may go out of track as well. Okay. Then the next one is stakeholders. Okay, stakeholders basically refers to people who are impacted by the project that we are working on. Okay, they could be impacted positively, they could be impacted negatively as well. But the more important thing is stakeholders are the people who are impacted by the work we are doing. Okay. In the upcoming classes, we will discuss in detail about what are the different categories of stakeholders, how those stakeholders are identified, how can we manage stakeholders. Okay. We will take a detailed look during our upcoming class of stakeholder management. But for now the important thing is who are stakeholders. Stakeholders are basically people or participants, okay, who are impacted by the work that we are doing. Okay. What is that work we are doing? We are creating software. Okay. Stakeholders could also be referred, in another terms, could also be referred to as people who have the business idea. Okay. Again, for now you can refer them as business stakeholders. Business stakeholders is one such category under stakeholders. Like I said, in our upcoming classes we will discuss in detail about stakeholders. Okay. Then we have certain bunch of people that are involved within this IT. Okay, for example, SME, consultants, technical architects, development lead, test lead. Okay. So who is SME? SME basically stands for subject matter experts. So someone who has good knowledge about a particular area. Okay. So generally SMEs could be present on client side as well as on the IT company side as well. Okay. But the important part is they have very sound knowledge on a given subject. Okay. Who are consultants? Consultants are usually people who are hired to provide or share their expertise in implementing a work. Okay. They are also similar to SMEs, but the only difference is consultants could be hired for a short term duration, not as a full time employee, but as for a short time duration, just to guide us during our difficult times. Once we are on track, once our work is complete, then maybe if you have another project, you can use consultant there. If you don't have another project, maybe you can let go of the consultant. But the main important people in this IT development, we already know business analyst is one such important person. So we are not going to talk about business analyst today. But the other important people are technical architect, development lead, and test lead. Okay. So technical architect refers to the person who is responsible for creating design. Okay. So you give requirement document to technical architect. Okay. As a BA, I will create requirement document. Okay. Once the requirement document is created, I will give it to technical architect. Technical architect will use the requirement document to create design. Okay. Generally enterprise level softwares are little bit complex than our personal softwares. Okay. So they require more careful thought process. Okay. And technical architects are those people whose primary job is to ensure that whatever requirements you give to me, I will go through those requirements. I will ensure that I create a design such that it will fit as per your requirements. Okay. Say for example, you want to construct a house. You have a land and you want to construct a house. What will happen is you will call in an architect. The architect will ask you about your requirements, that what kind of requirements do you have. You can say that I want some open space for car parking, I want some open space for gardening, I want my house to be more secured. Okay, I want to build, let's say, a multi-story, two-floor building, ground floor plus first floor. Okay, I want good ventilation in my house. I want proper sunlight to come in my house. So these are my requirements. So what will architect do? Based on your requirement, it will give you a blueprint or design. They will assess the land that you have. They will look at your requirements, and then they will see how can we ensure that customers requirement are met. They will give you a blueprint or a design of your house, what you should do. Then what you do, the architects will not construct the house for you. So what you do, you call in mason. Okay, you call in mason, you show them the design. The mason will start working on building your house. Okay, so the architect who gave you the blueprint of your house, you can consider them to our technical architects as well. Okay, that's the same responsibility the technical architects will also have in IT. You give them your requirements, they will assess the current technical landscape, they will assess your requirements, and then they will give you a design. Okay, what happens after a design is there, when we want to construct a house, after we have a design, what we do, we start with the construction activity. For construction activity, we call in mason. Okay, consider that mason as your development lead. Okay, what will mason do? Mason will not do the work by themselves. Mason will call in laborers. Okay, and then mason will guide the laborers on how to carry out the construction work. Okay. Similarly, development lead could be considered similar to mason. Development lead will review the design that the technical architect created. They will create a plan on how to approach coding, how to do coding, and they will assign the work. Okay, they will also assign the work to developers. Okay, so development lead is responsible for managing a set of developers. Okay. So development lead will review whatever solution document the technical architect has created. Based on that solution document, how much effort will be needed, what all coding will be required, how should we do the coding, how many people are required, okay, which work should be given to which developer. Okay, all that will be taken care by development lead. Okay, and then developers will actually do the coding. Okay, so you can call them developer or coder or programmer. Okay, they are responsible for actually writing the code. Okay, so developers will be reporting to development lead. Okay, their lead will be responsible for ensuring that all the developers are doing their work efficiently, there is no problem as such. Okay, that we are on track with respect to the work that is assigned. Okay. Now before we move on to the next one, any questions so far, guys, with respect to, let me highlight the portion that we completed. We completed, or we talked about environments or regions, we talked about estimations, change management, stakeholders, SME, consultants, technical architects, development lead, or developer, coder, or programmer. Okay. Any questions so far on this one? Sharat says unable to receive your message. I did not type anything, Sharat. So what was the last thing that you heard, Sharat?
Yeah, I've got an interruption of my network, so it sorted out.
Okay. And moving on, the next role is test lead. Okay. So, similar to how a technical architect will review the requirement document and create design, okay, a, a test lead will take up the requirement document, okay, and the test lead will create test plan. Again, similar to development lead, a test lead may not be responsible for doing any kind of testing as well. Okay, a test lead will be leading a set of what you can call testers or quality assurance guys. Okay, these will be the people actually doing the testing. Whatever program, whatever software that the developers will write, okay, whatever software that the developers will create, we cannot trust them blindly. We cannot say that, though I know you are a very good programmer, you are a very good coder, you will write 100% defect free code. We cannot say like that. Okay, there has to be proper and thorough testing to ensure that whatever code they have written meets the appropriate quality standards. Okay, so that testing is actually taken care through the tester or quality assurances. These people will be reporting to test lead. So suppose if I have any technical doubt, for example, if a tester has a technical doubt, who will they reach out to first? Test lead. If a developer has technical doubt, who will they reach out first? Development lead. If any of them have any question related to requirement, then they will reach out to BA. If they have technical doubt on how to do a task, they should reach their respective lead. If they have requirement related doubt, then they will reach out to BA or business analyst. Similarly, for a business analyst also there will be lead. If as a business analyst I have any technical doubt, I can reach out to my lead. Then the last thing or the last word for the day is what we call as defect, bug, or issue. Okay. What do we mean by defect? Defect is simply deviation or difference from the expected output. Now, suppose we all have seen ID cards, okay? Whether you go to an office or whether you go to a school, college, office, wherever you go, or whether you buy a health insurance, every time you will be given an ID card. Okay? Even you look at our Aadhaar is what? ID card. PAN card is what? An ID card only. Okay, so all the ID cards will have certain format. Okay, suppose the format says in every ID card we should print first name, middle name, and then last name. Okay, suppose this is what the expectation is, that I should print like this. Okay, now suppose there is a customer whose name is, let's say, ABCD. Okay. Suppose this is the customer's name. This is their first name, then middle name, then last name. Then, as per the format of the ID card, what will I expect? Customer name equal to this one. Then, expected will be that I should write down this entire thing. Okay. And when I run the actual test, So expectations is generally we make before starting our work. Okay, before starting work, we will have some expectations. Then when we are actually doing work, we will validate against our expectations whether our expectations were fulfilled or not. For example, I want to start a job. My expectation is that I will get some good quality work. Reality check, or actually I got some boring work. Okay, so my expectations were not fulfilled over here. So the same thing we do in IT also for testing. You will always, before you start your testing of a software, before you start actual testing of the software, you will actually note down what is the expectations. Okay, and then at the end we try to match actuals against the expectation. Okay, suppose if the actual result is same as expectation, we are all happy, no problem, no issues, no worries at all. Okay, problem comes when the expectations don't match with the actual result. Okay, suppose my customer name is this, I am expecting same thing to be populated in ID card, but instead the middle name is missing from the actual ID card. Okay, in this case what will happen? My expected and actual results are not matching. Because the two are not matching, so then what we call, we have a defect or bug or issue in my system. Why am I saying there is a defect, bug or issue? I'm not saying it out of the fly. Okay, I'm not saying it just like that because I want to say. I'm saying it because I have proof. This is the customer name. Before I was executing my test scenarios, this was the expectations, and once I executed the scenario, this is the actual or the reality. Okay, now my expected result and actual results are not matching. They both are not in sync. They both do not match. Because they do not match, I say this scenario as there is a defect or a bug or an issue in my system which needs to be fixed. Okay, who will fix? As a tester will only identify defect. Okay, testers will identify defects. Okay, and who will fix? Developers will fix. Developers will fix the defect. What do we mean by fix the defect? That means making the code changes. So developer will make the code changes and then will notify tester that I have made the code changes, can you try again testing, can you try your testing again. So once the developer has made code changes, tester will again do the testing. If the expected and actual results match, no problem this time. If they again do not match, then I have a problem again. So the tester will ask developer that whatever you did, it did not solve the issue. I am still facing problem. Okay. So testers will identify defects. Once the defects have been identified, it will be assigned to developers to fix it. By fixing, we mean changing code. Okay. And how will testers identify defects? If there is any deviation between expected and actual result, that's a defect. If no deviation, if expected and actual results are matching, then all good, no problem. So that was the last keyword that I wanted to cover. Okay, in tomorrow's class we will talk about, let me add these markers over here. Okay. So in tomorrow's class we will discuss about, we'll start with some of the basic things like the IT team structure. Okay, how will and a team look like? Okay, so we will take a look at how BA, developers, testers, what will be the, who all will be the members of the team and how will they work with each other. Then we will quickly cover one more important topic called project size. Okay? Why it is important for BA to know the size of a project or the estimate for a project so that they can plan their work accordingly. And then lastly, we will talk about skills required for a BA. What are the essential skills that you must have as a BA or you must develop as a BA so that you can do your job efficiently? Okay, those will be the topics that we will be looking at tomorrow. Okay, we are done for today. Are there any questions? Okay, I'll take the silence as no questions. Well, thank you everyone for your time. We'll connect tomorrow at the same time.